That's how I became a combat sports fan, jiu-jitsu fan, grappling fan, UFC fan, BKFC fan, karate combat fan, boxing fan. Man, BKFC especially now these days is so exciting now, man. And Mike Perry has put that company on the map. But anyway, that's how I got started pretty much in all the sports that I love.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about. Well, let's let me ask about some nonsense. We do like to do a little nonsense.
Sure.
Anything you've seen cinema-wise lately?
Napoleon.
Okay, I have not caught that one yet.
Holy moly! It's literally a quarter of your day, brother. It is 3.5 hours long. Whew. And I drank beer the entire time. I was toasted.
That's a long movie.
Yes.
It's a great movie, though.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in that lifetime.
And it's not quite historically accurate.
No.
But cinematically, it's very beautiful and well done. I loved it, and I will watch it again.
On that, can you believe that?
Yeah. It was by far one of my favorite movies cinematically from last year. Honestly,
yes.
It was just beautiful to watch.
It's shifted a lot through Napoleon's tactical prowess and his beautiful use of artillery, kind of like led to the doctrine that we all use now, all militaries use now in artillery. But anyway, it also shifted mostly also to the love affair between Josephine and Napoleon. And it was nuts. I never knew how nuts that woman was, because when I actually read the book of Napoleon's story, I was like, okay, she was described as mad. And as you know, in British English, that's nuts, crazy. And she's totally displayed that. It's like the book came true to real life and visualized it for me.
Pinky, if from Mission Impossible, Vanessa Kirby, she plays the widow.
Yeah.
In the last two movies, she plays Josephine in Napoleon and is excellent.
It picks a crazy person. I'm just kidding.
To go against Joaquin Phoenix, she does a great job.
Yes.
Let's see. I did get to check out the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah.
And that is so fun. It's such a fun movie. It's definitely like, I feel like Guy Ritchie was like, yeah, I can steal from Tarantino a little bit for this. Like, it felt very Tarantino-ish. Besides, it didn't have a lot of gore. They did kill a lot of people, but you don't see blood going everywhere. But it just, Henry Cavill and Alan Richardson, they're just having a good time, man. They're just having a good time killing Nazis. And
for history buffs, just so if you didn't know, Christopher Lee was actually a part of the real Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, just so you know. Just a cool little trivia bit.
It is based on a true story. So, very cool movie to check out whenever it hits the streaming platforms. So,
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Caleb, you got any nonsense?
No, not really.
I have a good nonsense to transition to NBA if we want. I mean,
let's save that for a moment. I don't want to get sad.
I mean, sure.
Let's talk a little bit about one of Alex's specialties, being the fight guy. There was a huge boxing match this weekend. Caleb,
yes.
Did you get to watch it? I didn't watch it.
I didn't get to watch it.
I watched it. I watched the highlights of it
followed
after it happened, but yeah, it was a good match.
The entire card was worth $70.
Well, tell us what you thought happened in that fight. A lot of people are trying to say that Fury won that fight.
Absolutely not. I think that opinion or take would come from their detractors, the detractors of Alexander Usyk. But anyway, so when the fight began, Tyson Fury tried to implement his mind games, clowning around, trolling, getting on the ropes, and doing like little his version of the Ali shuffle and everything else there. He was trolling. He wasn't really trying to fight. But he started trying to fight when Usyk actually landed. Then he started to get serious. So probably that first round right there went to Usyk. Rounds 2 and 3, Fury, I think, got tired of climbing around because he kept getting hit. So Fury took those rounds. So he took those early rounds. And then Usyk bounced back in the 4th. And then the 5th is where things could have ended. Fury landed a massive uppercut. And these had been like, that's probably like the 8th or 9th massive uppercut already. Usyk has been eating them all fight to that point in the 5th round. So he was wobbled. He could have finished Usyk, but Usyk's defense was still so good despite being wobbled. So Fury takes the 5th. Fury takes the 6th, but that's where everything turned around. Usyk took over. You can see the efforts that Tyson Fury was starting to. So he was trying to put him away earlier. So he smoked himself, honestly, because from round 7 all the way to 12, Usyk dominated that, and especially the 9th round, which is where the controversy that you've heard of already is. When Usyk landed several combos that wobbled him, wobbled Fury, Fury kept wobbling, and Usyk landed more. So Fury finally fell to the ropes in the back with his eyes in his back, totally just looking like he is not there. So as he's about to fall, that is when the ref cuts in there, intercepts it, and then rules it a knockdown. Are you kidding me?
He saved Fury getting lights out there for sure. For sure.
And of course, after that, then man, it was nothing but smooth sailing for Usyk. How Usyk won by split decision totally baffles me. It should have been unanimous. But here's the thing on that. Here's a known little fact, and I've done all my research on this. Okay? So when Wilder fought Fury, Wilder also knocked him down in the 10th round, and the ref there gave them 10 seconds to get up. And it should have been over. Fury should have been his first KO loss to Deontay Wilder. Second fight with Otto Wallin. He kept trying, he kept doing some cheap stuff to wobble up the guy's eyes and stuff, but then Otto Wallin, the German boxer, he found a way to irritate him back on the counters and stuff. So Otto Wallin also landed a crushing blow that knocked down Fury and also gave him some time. And now this fight. So it seems like everywhere that Fury goes, it's like the judges and everything contingent with that are try to protect him. So that's the thing too about boxing. Boxing is very, very corrupted. That's well known.
I was gonna bring that up. We'll discuss that here in a moment. You save that because I got some conversations I'd like to ask of you, sir. So we'll get there in a moment. So you like Usyk to be the winner here, thinking it should have been unanimous. From what I've seen and read, I would definitely agree with that. Fury's gotten away with a couple in the past, and for whatever reason, he's well received in the judges' boxing community. And so he usually tends to get that benefit of doubt when it comes to those scorecards, it feels like. I don't think he's a bad boxer, but I definitely don't see him as some all-time great heavyweight by any means, based on skill that I've seen in the past from other guys. I mean, I have both the Klitschko brothers above him as far as heavyweight boxers go.
He's on my top. The Klitschko's are on my list.
But I don't even know if the Klitschko's are in my top 5 of all-time heavyweights. You know what I mean? So
gotcha.
You start looking at that list, and it can get pretty intense with that top-tier talent over the years. And it's sad to see how far the heavyweight division has fallen off over the last 2 decades, in my personal opinion. So with that being said, who would you say is the P for P right now in that boxing world?
My choice, I just because Usyk just got his undisputed status, I would say Terrence Crawford, pound for pound, number one.
My guy, you can come back anytime. You're welcome back anytime. We're
Did
good.
we just become best friends?
Here's why. Look at his resume. All well-known, all former champions. And guess what? He didn't really have a game plan for them. He pretty much dominated them, switching stances fluidly. Terrence Crawford is insane with that.
Yeah, I'm a homer because I'm a Nebraska guy. So Bud being from Omaha, I'm gonna have his back, obviously. But the dude is just nasty because what the reason being completely objective watching him is something you just alluded to that I love about him. It can look like he's getting beat the first 2, maybe even 3 rounds of a fight.
He's downloading information from you.
That's exactly. He is seriously just downloading everything you own and allowing it to just go into his computer. And then 3rd or 4th round, he comes out and every game plan you had to fight him just went out the window because he completely changed everything he was doing. And it's to completely go against every weakness you have that you just showed him. And he only needed those 2 or 3 rounds to figure those weaknesses out.
Yep.
And I am baffled because I'm sitting here watching him as he got going in his career thinking, well, there's not really a great boxer out there right now that I'm going to get behind. This guy's from Nebraska. I'm going to go with him. But seeing him evolve every fight over the last 4 years roughly and becoming that pound for pound guy has been just wild to the point where I'm blown away that people are still crying out that Boots should get his shot, like he earned something. And Crawford shouldn't be fighting Canelo. Like, I'm sorry, Canelo, but you're very much Mayweather.
He's going to destroy Canelo if it happens. Dude, mark my words.
Canelo, in my mind right now, is in that Mayweather debate of you're kind of picking and choosing guys when they're not in their prime, or you're taking fights that are lesser than to keep this aura about you. And every time I'm hearing Bud talk, he's asking for the big name. And these guys are ducking him, especially after what he just did to Spence. And people want to talk about, well, Spence came in, this, that, and the other. He had this going on in camp or that. Don't care. Don't care what happened. You didn't just get beat. You got smoked. You got to the point where the fight should have been stopped and you should have been walked out of there because we're not talking about just getting knocked out on the mat. We're talking about how you're going to feel in 3 days from now with the way you were getting lit up. So I want to see him. The problem is like probably the next guy up might be Inu, and I may not be saying that correctly, but that might be the next guy on the list. But Bud's not. Yeah, the Inoue. Thank you. Bud's not going back down in weight. He's trying to climb the ladder. So that's not going to be a fight we see. And that's another reason why everybody talking Boots should get his chance just blows my mind, because if Boots wants the shot, move up to 165 or 158. You know what I mean? Like, Crawford's not going back down in weight, especially when there's no point in fighting for one of 50 belts. Yep. He wants the names now. He wants to put himself in that all-time great status by fighting guys who he believes that are at the top of their level. He's not as worried about the belts as he is showcasing his talent.
Correct. I like that about him. And it shows.
Pinky, legit, ignore the Nebraska stuff. Get on board with this guy because he is fun to watch.
You just brought up Nebraska and I just jerk you off.
Hey, it just so happens that the best guy in the world right now is from North Omaha. Got lucky there. But alluding from there into the belts and the fact that you've got 10, 15, 20, whoever else wants to throw their name in the hat and say they've got one to fight for, and the way promoters have basically destroyed the competition within the sport.
True.
My personal belief, and I'd love to hear your take on this being a better connoisseur of the sport, if you will, than I am even. I want to see all belts go away and there be one belt per weight class. And I want to see promoters get taken out of it to the point where you are required to defend your belt at least 2 times a year. And if you go more than a year and a half without defending the belt, you are automatically stripped and you do not get a shot at that belt for a minimum of 365 days.
I agree with that.
I mean, that's how I would fix the sport personally. And start forcing these guys to actually fight with the best and know that the reason you're fighting the best is because there is only one belt to fight for. We're not arguing about all this stuff anymore. There is one governing body. We're rolling with it, and you go. What are your thoughts? What would you do?
Has an advantage of. Plus, they have Dana White. Of course, he's open to criticism. Of course, to me, I criticize him for fighter pay. He needs to pay those guys more. Yeah. That is a $1 billion company with an IPO. Like right now, I mean, it's a valuable IPO at the moment. And I totally agree with your take. One belt per division. I mean, excuse me. Yeah, one belt per division. Get rid of that WBO, WBA, IBF, IBO crap. Get rid of that totally. I mean, what's the point of that? The reason why, okay, I did my homework a little bit. Why do they have those like that? Is because they fund it. They fund the belts. Yeah. That's all it is it comes down to funding. And of course, because boxing, the very corrupt sport it is, all you have to do is throw money at it and they make those changes. It could go in that way too, as far as like reducing it to one belt, but somebody's got to have a lot of money for that.
Absolutely. Biggie, I hear you. Sorry, Robert, real quick. With Biggie, Pinky threw that up there. So I've thought about that. So if we want to move it, what do you think is good? 8 months? I think once a year defending a belt is ridiculous. I feel like based on all the research I did, a 6-month turnaround is doable. You're sitting there kind of at the edge of your full recovery. I understand that, but like these guys fighting once every 2 years, once every 18 months, I think is too much. You got guys sitting there trying to prove what they can do, and then they get passed up for, like Alex just said, money. Even though they might be the top contender, they go fight for one of the other belts and they get a valid reason for this, that, or the other of why that was the situation they were able to pull off, regardless of whether or not they had a mandatory title defense with one of the other belts. I mean, it's such a mess. So I'm open to interpretation of the 6-month rule. But that's kind of where I stand at this point. If boxing wants to ever be the sweet science and the top dog again, you're going to have to start setting some true limitations, and there has to be one governing body. Otherwise, this sport is slowly killing itself like it has been for the last 2 decades.
Yep.
One thing my buddy was bringing up that's also watching the show, shout out to Justin, is that bringing the Grand Prix to the UFC, and what your thoughts would be on that, Alex.
Oh, wow, man. Now, that just makes things so much more interesting now.
That would be wild.
Are we talking like Grand Prix Pride style?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Like original UFC style? Like,
yes.
With
all
karate
classes open, let's roll and see who the true best fighter is. That would be absurd to watch. I would pay
4 fights in one night. Poor fighter, but goodness gracious, man. That would be good for the audience, but for the fighter, they might just all vote like, no, I don't want to fight. Oh, hell no. I don't want to fight 4 times in one night or something like that. That's the fighter take, though.
If you pay them and you give them health care, I think they would do it.
Not just that. There's some dudes who would just do it. There would be, all you'd have to do is say one name, and it would get a lot of guys back in that ring, and it would be Royce Gracie. Do you want a legacy like Royce Gracie? Because if you win 1 Grand Prix and you're one of the smaller weight classes, like, middleweight down, and you win a Grand Prix,
I mean,
it doesn't matter what you do the rest of your career. You're instantly etched into UFC Hall of Fame status and all-time great because you did something that, let's be honest, really only Royce Gracie has ever done. And what is he, 160? Isn't Royce Gracie like 5'8", 160 or something crazy like that?
He was. I just don't think they couldn't do that these days with the heavyweights train. They're not as good at grappling and jiu-jitsu. in most cases, but they do train in it. And that's way different than in the past when you just got big fat guys who could, if they got one hand on you, you were done. But if you were quick enough, you could slip that one hand. Heavyweights today are much better at the all-around game.
I understand what you're saying. I hear where you're coming from, but here's the thing. First of all, there's only maybe 2 or 3 heavyweights that are actually fully talented right now. I mean, Blades is crazy with his knockouts and stuff, but that dude can't go past a round and a half. So, and that's the case with most heavyweights right now. Most of them can't go past a round and a half. They're done.
You've got John Jones and Cyril Gaines.
Minus a couple dudes. I said minus a couple dudes.
You are right. There's only a handful.
So you can get them into round 2, 3. You can just, avoid and counter enough to get into that 2, 3 round. Now you start opening up a whole different level of ball game for yourself. Now, if you get into the deep part of this Grand Prix and you have to fight, Jones or Stipe, or now you're screwed.
These heavyweights today would literally do the Brock Lesnar approach and just spear the guy and be on top of him and ground and pound.
Yeah, but again, we've seen where smaller guys have had that done to them and they were able to avoid it or duck it or swing. I'm saying. Now, I'm not talking like a flyweight's going to go out there and do something. Like, Mighty Mouse is great, but Mighty Mouse would just basically, everybody would eat his punch and he'd get picked up and thrown outside the ring.
I think I would kind of separate it like 2 weight classes together.
Hell no. We're going all in. Everybody throw their hat in the middle. Let's see what happens. Push the chips. I would love to see it one time. Let's see who really, because let's be honest. If you get knocked out, you get knocked out. But, there's a reason everybody wants this. This is what the BMF should be.
That's
what the BMF title should be.
I could agree with that. If you want to be one of those guys that goes for the BMF, yeah, I agree with that. But for the most part, they would. I don't think they'd ever agree to that.
And let's remember the original UFC Grand Prix style was one night, wasn't it? I mean, you turned around and you fought and fought and fought. So how quickly do you win? How much punishment do you take? You could see a little guys. I mean, NCAA tournament as an example. I know it's kind of a crazy analogy, but Cinderella, Sweet 16. There's a reason these stories persist every year. I don't think a Grand Prix would be that much different. Now, do they win? Probably not. But does somebody sneak through that shouldn't? Absolutely.
It's got merit. I just don't think they would. Who
do we need to talk to? Alex, you know Dana's number. Let's give this guy a call and get something going.
Well, actually, here's the concerns of that. Why it'd be number one health concern. That'll be number one. They're already going to. Doctors are already going to be on that board and be like, no, this is very dangerous for the athletes.
Yeah.
And then a whole list of other medical reasons why. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to go into any of that. But what I can tell you, just based off of a little bit of common sense, +2, one event like that takes, you're condensing a lot of money together and you make less money. So that's why you have the UFC spread out the way they are now.
Wait, pause. Sorry to interrupt, sir. Pause. I don't know if that's true because I don't buy, Pinky knows this. I like the sport, but I don't pay for it because very rarely is it worth the money. You give a Grand Prix though, I'm not going to give a shit about outcomes. I will put my money in for that Grand Prix. I'll wait and see how that rolls down, regardless of the fight outcomes. I want to know the outcome of that.
How much are you willing to pay?
I'd pay $70 for a Grand Prix. Shoot, I'd pay $100 for a Grand Prix.
You're paying $100 or more for a Grand Prix.
That's fine. If I'm getting the full Grand Prix start to finish, I'll drop $100 for that. Legit. And I'm not a normal buy. So I think you'd be surprised at how many me's there are out there if something like that truly went down.
Of course.
Biggie, sorry to hear that, buddy. Sorry for your niece. Hopefully she rehabbed as best she could. The fight game is it's rough, man. Alex knows.
Yep. I myself participated in a total of 5 amateur MMA fights. I won my first 3, and I got knocked out in the last 2. But I was not. I just wanted to get in there and go. I was not. It wasn't tactical. It was nothing. I had no game plan. I just wanted to get in their face and fucking knock you out. And if I was gonna get knocked out, that's fine. Part of the process. I can accept that when I wake up and like it happened to me instead. So that's fine.
I gotta ask you. First of all, thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate that. Do you have any tattoos for your squadron or things of that nature that are noticeable, i.e. the standard like skull and flames type badassery, if you will, that immediately says, I'm a pit bull?
I particularly don't have something close like that, but I do have a tattoo on my left forearm, if I can.
Okay, yeah.
It has gambling devices. It has 8-ball, dices, cards, and a lowrider.
Okay, so that's the opposite of what I was thinking. Might think somebody's like, all right, this dude was in the service. He's going to be like a beast.
But it was
you went the other route. You went, damn it, this guy's a nerd and he's going to surprise the shit out of me and be a beast. So I like the psychological approach you chose here.
I had to. I mean, it was at that point I was already too old. I was just like, because I was like, there's no way I want to go become a professional and see what these guys go through for just the camp. I've observed an entire camp. And I really do not want to go through that for every fight. Screw that. It's very uncomfortable dining the entire time too. No. I love my stuff, man. I love some of my fast food and some treats out there now. You can't take that away from me.
So speaking of, one last thought I have about boxing that I was going to ask you, and fights in general, actually. This applies to every combat sport. It's a personal take. Most people don't agree with it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. And then I have another question that will swing us into something I think you really want to discuss and are passionate about, an up-and-coming combat sport. But the thought here is, I believe everyone should have to fight at their natural weight or within range of what you are walking at if you're fully healthy. So if you want to work out and be a lean, more runner type, okay, fine. So you're going to be on a little bit of the lighter end of what your index card might say. If you want to, eat a little bit more and lift a little bit heavier, you're going to be on the little bit heavier side of that. But within, we want to say 10 pounds maybe of your natural walking around weight, I believe that's what fighters should, going forward in every combat sport, should have to fight at. This idea of cutting weight, and I think the biggest example of it right now is Alex Pereira going from walking around at a natural like 240, like on the verge of ultra heavyweight, just naturally, to the dude was fighting in middleweight at 170. So I feel like this idea that, and it's a joke because as soon as you weigh the night before, now you can go fill up, water up, hydrate, eat whatever you want. You could be 20 pounds heavier than the dude by the time the fight rolls around 24 hours later. So to me, the pure violence of the sports that naturally occurs, and then everybody's worried about this idea of health and safety, and then they allow something so obviously dangerous as that, blows my mind, and I'm amazed that it's never been addressed or changed. Is there something behind it that I missed over the years, Alex, or do we ever see something like that changing?
No, the politics of money. Each division has been predetermined of how much money they actually earn over title fights, over, there's a certain formula there that somebody was talking about before. If you know Ariel Helwani, I listen to him a lot. Some of you guys might be annoyed by him, but I think he's insightful, even though
I'm a big ESPN guy as a side note, and Pinky hates ESPN. So if you're on ESPN, Pinky's automatically going to not think you're very good at your job.
There's nothing wrong with the.
Be honest, my guy. If I bring up anybody that said anything and you find out they're ESPN, you instantly go, nah.
It's not the entire mothership, but they do have a lot of guys on their roster that are very clickbait, outlandish take kind of guys.
I like Helwani, so continue, good sir. Sorry, side note.
No, it's no problem.
Always trying to call me out.
No, not always. Now you're gonna. There's a guest on, Pinky. Stop. Not in front of the kids.
Okay, so on that subject, the weight cutting, right? Believe it or not, that already exists in ONE FC, the One Fighting Championships out of Singapore. It's already been implemented, and fighters there are a lot happier there. Not only former UFC fighters, but mainly also DJ Mighty Mouse. He fights there, and he is so much happier with the money there, 5 times more.
How are they controlling the weight? What are they doing to if they're doing it?
I think the weight classes are still the same.
You have to be within 10 pounds.
It is 10? Okay, cool.
Oh, excuse me. Well, did I say pounds? Kilograms. We're the only ones that still...
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole tonight, Alex, please. Like, there's no... we don't have rhymes or reasons to explain or truly, like, argue that side. So as Americans, we just don't want to talk about it. Like, come on now. I know you started in Germany, but you're here now. You're back in the motherland. Like, you know the rules. We just don't talk about it.
Fair enough.
The standard system makes 0 sense, but that's what we're going to do. And so we just don't discuss it.
But yes, it's much cooler. It's been implemented already. Every other, I still looked at the rules of other combat sports like karate combat and BKFC. There's still weight. You still have like a weight class system, but it's more forgiving than being an exact weight.
Okay. I hear the money thing, and I think obviously that's an issue, but my hope truly is that boxing dies enough to where it's gone for a couple minutes and gets resuscitated, and everybody realizes that everything has like whole new format. And I would, my ultimate dream is that boxing would do that. And I believe if boxing did it, it would then be back to King of Kings, and everything would then have to follow suit.
Caleb,
it would be pretty awesome.
Let's get together a proposal, and we'll get a meeting with The Rock, with KO Sports.
So remember that production company you mentioned? Thinking this just needs to happen somehow.
Right. Let's write this up. Let's get this in front of The Rock. Rock, you can save boxing. Let's do this. The Rock, Dana, and God, who's the partner with KO? Khan? Is it Khan? Tony Khan?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think he's one of the other board members on KO that owns UFC and WWE. I feel like they could bring boxing back if we could get some of these, ideas in front of them.
I mean, I'm down.
Boxing is notoriously stubborn, though.
Yeah,
It's okay. But if you got a big company with a lot of money behind them, they can change the game.
Here's the thing. You would have to present it in such a way where all boxers it would be like the PGA. So they're all independent contractors.
Okay.
But you'd have to set it up where they're independent contractors as employees.
Right.
And it'd have to be the best of both worlds, because you would want to give them the healthcare. You would want to set it up like NBA, NFL. You would want the retirement packages. You would want those things. But you also don't want it to be where it's the UFC, because one guy controlling it and knocking down your value and things. Boxers will never do that. Now, I think boxers are more than willing to dump promoters. I think at this point it's so broken that they're okay with one company running everything, but it's got to be set up equal partnership kind of stuff. So it's like it's a mix between like the PGA and the 4 major sports in America, and soccer, football over in Europe, where they are on contracts, they are owned to an extent of their rights, but then they have some individual freedoms within that to move and create their own deals, or however you want to work it with, name, image, and likeness kind of style situation for college. Maybe you bring that into where they can market themselves and do however they want to on that end, but they're still signing a contract of sorts. Possibly. I could see that working and bringing, but again, boxing is so broken. If you bring in something that works, I got to start putting something together. I'm going to shut my mouth because I feel
Let's
like
do this. Let's do this, buddy.
You're correct about boxing being broken like that. And guess who took full advantage of that and is wealthy beyond his means right now?
You want to talk about the Golden Boy?
People. I'm sorry?
You're talking about the Golden Boy?
Yes. Golden Boy, money. Well, that's Golden Boy, but now to a better extent. Floyd, Money, Mayweather.
Well,
not
look,
Pretty Boy Floyd, but
I will give Floyd his props. I think he's an awful human being based on everything I've read over the years.
I'm a Pacquiao fan, so that's a different story.
Fair, okay. I think Floyd is a terrible human being, just on a whole. Now, maybe he's starting to correct that in his older age because his
watch his Instagram. Holy crap!
Well, and I only say that because the way he speaks in public has changed. So
I'll give you that.
I'm not trying to say he's a good person, but maybe he's starting to learn. Don't think he's a good person. I don't think he's anywhere close to a great boxer based on the way he handled his career and pick and choosing his fights. I think he's a good boxer, not great. And I feel like he's not the best promoter either, in the sense that I feel like if he's truly as good as he thinks he is, he could have fought better fights and made even more money. So I know that's kind of wild to say, but I think it's true. Now, all that being said, the dude is a brilliant businessman. Like, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. And I can say it's never somebody I would want in my inner circle because of the type of person you are. But I can also say, I'll give you mad respect though as a businessman because you did a lot of things really well. And there's a reason you're arguably, I mean, we don't know for sure, but he could be on that B for billionaire.
I think he's close.
He gambles too much.
I'm just saying. I think he might be closer than people realize to that status because of decisions he's made. So
generate money anyway.
Yeah. So the money team is a real thing, and they're called the money team for a reason because they make money. So I will give him his props there. And it's funny you bring him up because he is somebody who, if you could get him behind this and he sees the vision of how it's truly more beneficial than the way things are now, believe could be a true spokesman to get other boxers to listen, because whether they like him or not, they're going to listen to Floyd because they know he's going to make money. So if Floyd did it or he's saying to do it, look what Ryan Garcia just did. Floyd told him to come in 3 pounds heavy. Hey, dog, just go in 3 pounds heavy and then go make all your money. He told Ryan Garcia to do it, and Garcia was like, actually, I'm willing to pay 1.5 because I missed weight.
Do you know why?
Go make 12.
Because Floyd was talking shit. I mean, Bill Haney was talking shit about Floyd Mayweather.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So, look, there's games within games in boxing, right? And that's what I love also. But you can still have those games within games and make it even more worthwhile because it means something rather than nothing.
This is very true. I can agree with that take.
All right. Well, before we switch.
Wait.
Hold on.
Okay.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to transition here. The sweet science being what it is, I know you want to discuss something that I personally don't like because I feel like the sheer brutality of it takes away from a little bit of that sweet science of the art of having to go multiple rounds. And that is the bare knuckle boxing that's become bigger and bigger. And I get the draw of it. Like, look, early 1900s, late 1800s, Doc boxing, you're technically not in limits, everything goes. I understand the draw of it, and I understand how it actually could be considered more of a sweet science because you don't or can't afford to get hit.
Right.
But I believe it does take away a little bit from the ability to go multiple rounds and have a little bit more of that science aspect, if you will.
That's true.
So I really want to hear your love for and take of the up-and-coming bare knuckle boxing scene.
You see, I have that habit, and it's just human, I'm drawn to violence, and that's just a lot more violent. It's just natural human habit,
Look, my guy, cheers for the upfront, brutal honesty. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Cheers to you. That's all I can sum it up there. There's no other rationalization. That's a mic drop. That's it.
All right, I appreciate that. So you talked about very briefly, you dropped the call it owner, if you will, the CEO of the sport, the guy who's really bringing it along right now. Talk about where things are and what's really happening, because I'll say one thing I think Dana White got into because he saw, not because he likes it, but because he saw the money behind it, is the whole slap scene. And I hate that shit with a passion. But I'm interested to see what bare knuckle can do, because I think it could replace that and be something maybe more worthwhile, even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it.
Well, here's the thing. Dana's irked because it's his former employees making way more money over there. So, of course, this is number one irk. And number two, it's detracting from his power slap. Because here's why. Dana shows it on Fridays. BKFCs come on Fridays. And when there's major pay-per-views, they come on Saturdays. So he has to compete with those. That's another one. But I guess that's probably number one. And then number two, irked by the employees. But speaking of former UFC fighters, that's how BKFC is growing because of that. People are just like, oh, yeah, man, there's no more of this grappling crap right here. This is just me and you, mano a mano, with these right here. Ain't no takedowns and none of that mess. You know what I'm saying? It's just a straight up mano a mano, fisticuffs.
So do you see it being more just, for lack of a better way of trying to explain it to the masses, a Kimbo Slice, backyard brawl to UFC fighter type guys? Or do you see this becoming truly more combative and that, for lack of a better way of explaining it, the sweet science, where this really does build up to more mainstream and guys are really truly not just going in there swinging for the fences, but trying to dance around and make sure they don't get knocked out, but still counter, body blows, things of that nature, to where it is more of a boxing, just no gloves?
That's true. Well, okay. My take on that is it can definitely go that way. Right now, look at where UFC was at earlier in its infancy, before the Forrest Griffin, Matt Bonner fight that made the UFC
Ultimate Fighter 1. Oh my god!
Yeah. So just
Stephen
remember,
Bonner.
it started on Spike TV.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's where
man, Spike TV, I forgot that existed.
ESPN as a sponsor now, or as their main company. I mean, a primary company, I guess. What did you say? Because no, it's been sold. Excuse me. I keep thinking about that because
it's okay. Wait, you're right though. I mean, it's still UFC to ESPN, but now it's KO and the main branch of, if you will, the mothership owns the mothership.
Mark my words though, this sport will grow.
So, do you think truly that bare knuckle will grow to the point where there's enough room for it to be low-end mainstream, even with the UFC and boxing? Or do you feel like it's always going to be this niche kind of attraction?
Okay, I think at its cap, it will peak at mid. That's going to be its peak. It won't go to max mainstream, but about low midstream. That will be its ceiling.
So like current MLS style, like is that, for lack of a better comparison, in the American market?
Actually, that's a great comparison.
Okay.
Yes, that style, because compared to the English Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, MLS is minor league.
Yeah, I mean, let's be gentle.
For the greats go to still be great and make a lot more money.
Minor league implies that you're next up. Like, I think we're talking like rookie or single A ball.
Can we just call it what it is? It's the retirement league. Like, come on.
Oh, it's not even the retirement league, Robert. Retirement league would imply that there's some level of competition for the people that are retiring in it. That's why I say it's like rookie ball or A ball as far as baseball is concerned. It's like, what's another way of putting it? It's like celebrity the celebrity softball game at the All-Star weekend.
Sure.
For true football players. Look what Messi's done since he came into the MLS. Sorry, we're going down a lot of money. Talking with you about bare knuckle, but we can talk about that next if you guys want to, because I'm all for it. But back to bare knuckle here. So you feel like its cap could be what the MLS market is now. Where would you say it currently sits then? Where are we talking? Because I know it's on the rise, it's growing.
Where
so
currently
what's the
sits
market?
It's sitting where when the UFC was with Spike TV.
Okay.
And guess who was the main audience for Spike TV? Men from 18 to 36 years old.
That's because we were watching the Man Show.
That was a good drop. That was a good drop.
God,
I don't know what that is.
Could you imagine the Man Show today?
That's Robert. That's exactly right there. How we love you, my guy, but you
don't know the Man Show?
No,
I'm 28.
That shows his age. That's my guy.
Damn.
He's pretty good at history, pop culture. He's pretty good for a 28-year-old. He's solid, better than most I know. But that right there shows that he was too young to be up at 11 o'clock on Saturday when that shit came on next to SNL.
Bro, when Jimmy Kimmel and
when it ended, hang on. When it ended, I was 8.
Adam Carell, whatever it is.
Yep.
Dude, girls.
The fact that Jimmy Kimmel isn't canceled because of that is amazing.
Him. Yeah, dude, that was if the fact that Jimmy Kimmel does what he does now and wasn't already canceled somehow because of that show is a modern miracle in today's culture.
Very true.
Yeah, when it went off the air in 2004.
Yeah,
I was 8.
Bro, it was only on the air for like 2 years, like
5.
No,
99 to 2004.
It was that long. It made
5, baby.
Wow. I mean, I watched from inception. I mean, I was a big fan from the inception. So don't get me wrong, but that surprises me that it was on that long.
I was in my early 20s. It was good. I enjoyed the Man Show.
Dude, when that came on, I mean, that was like the preempt to Chappelle, in the sense that it was TV going back to, hey, it's late night and we can do whatever we want. Watch this. And they went hard.
Girls jumping on trampolines to end the show every week.
Good stuff. All right.
We need to bring that show back.
What I want brought back is World's Deadliest Warrior.
Dude, American Gladiator.
Dude, they've already brought that one back.
They had a small, but for a short time, but it could have been so much better.
No, you can't. You can never do that again because you would have to openly tell people you're taking HGH, and nobody's willing to do that these days. I don't think you're gonna find anybody that's willing to come out and say I'm destroying everybody because I'm openly doing HGH. Like if you've watched the 30 for 30, and I think Netflix or somebody else did one, dude, those gladiators were going through some shit to be gladiators, and it was not worth it.
Back to the gladiators. Upset alert. Indy is up by 3 with 57 seconds left.
Didn't want to say anything. Yep, loving it.
Holy crap! Yes, because I cannot stand the Celtics.
Loving it for many reasons. We'll talk basketball in here in a second. Back to the bare knuckle. What are your final thoughts about where you truly see it going in the next year, 3, 5? Do you truly see it becoming something like the MLS market, or do you think it's going to stay at this niche level, a la the slap league or something else, where it's just always going to kind of be this whatever it is?
The power slap league is definitely going to be niche, but bare knuckle is not. They have already actually grown out of being niche. As far as like their popularity has skyrocketed, the kind of legit money they're drawing from audiences and pay-per-views, they're no longer a niche. So they're out of it. So I do see it going MLS, but that's the ceiling.
Okay, but that's not a bad ceiling, honestly, considering what else is out there for combat sports already. With it going to that level, then what do you see as far as, because you already said some UFC guys are kind of moving in that direction. It helps them kind of on the back end. Do you think it becomes kind of like a retirement league where guys are just chasing some money, or do you think it becomes more legit in the sense that there are true bare knuckle guys that are just bare knuckle guys and become household names and hold belts, defend titles, things of that nature?
I do see it like that. It's already kind of going that way.
Nice.
You're merging actual, of course, there is your every now Uber driver, but besides that, there are some legit bare knuckle guys there that boxed when they were young. And then there's, in contrast to the other end of retirement, becoming retirement league, yeah, definitely can. Luke Rockhold was already, he'd already expended his career at UFC. And not necessarily Mike Perry, because Mike Perry saw like 500 success, broke even at 500. So with that said, there's also, it's drawn other guys like major champions like Eddie Alvarez, one of the former light heavyweight champions in UFC. And Mike Perry put him away. Wow, man. Amazing fashion. But anyway, that's about where it's going right there. That's how I see that.
I don't know why, and this might give it a bad look, so it's not intentionally done that way. But the bare knuckle league gives me hardcore Lionheart vibes.
One of my favorite movies when I was young, man. Oh, Lionheart, man, that was great. Oh man, I don't care about people's complaints these days, because it's when I hear people complain about those movies, like, man, it looks so cheap. I'm like, bro,
come on now, that's an instant Jean-Claude classic. Like, if you don't like that, then get out of here, because you don't like 80s action movies, and I don't want to hear otherwise.
Really loved Lionheart. Just really loved the fact that it was a great storyline added to that. I thought it was an epic storyline compared to his other movies. Like
it's on Tubi right now, actually. Just in case you don't want to watch it.
If you haven't watched it, go watch it. I've
seen it. I've seen it. It's been a while.
I'm just saying, if you haven't watched it, I just watched Kickboxer yesterday.
See, that's a straightforward storyline. Straightforward storyline. Yeah. But not Lionheart. Lionheart was great, man. Added suspense and drama, a little bit of comedy.
I mean, let's be honest. How many movies since then have reenacted the parking garage fight scene?
None.
Black market parking garage fight scene, like everything in modern cinema that shows that stole that shit from Lionheart.
Cinema, unless you count video games, there's in Tekken, there's a stage exactly like that.
Sure. But yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Pinky, Robert, I know I commandeered our guest here because I wanted to ask him.
It's okay. I've been able to drink the whole time, buddy. So yeah, who knows how the second half's gonna go?
We're good, man.
All right. Well, Pinky, where are we transitioning to next then, my guy?
I still got that NBA one waiting.
We're gonna cue that up in a moment, Robert. Let's RIP.
Yeah, easy, Robert. Easy.
RIP. RIP the Avalanche season. I'm still gonna blame this on Val. You can love hookers and blow. Who doesn't love hookers and blow?
Woo!
But love them in the off season, okay? You're in the playoffs.
I can't say anything about this topic because I'm going to get us canceled. So here's what I'll say about the Avs. I'm not touching the Val situation. It's not, because I will get us canceled. When it comes to the Avs, I don't think the one guy going cost them. I think it was a blow for sure. But they're so stacked offensively with the ability to put the puck in the back of that net that I don't think the one guy cost them. I think truly, and I believe this, I'm still blown away that they traded Bo Byram. I think that was a bit more of a loss. That's another defenseman who's really good, who can move to the offensive side with Makar and McKinnon and that transition. I think he's got more potential than what you got back.
Right. We missed him. We missed Logan O'Connor as well.
Yeah, I love Taves, but he missed that game due to illness. That cost him. The goaltending did not cost them in the Dallas series, I don't think. They just had spurts where they were hot and cold, and that cost them because there was no consistency. So overall,
for 3 games, they forgot how to pass and how to handle a puck. And
they looked, I don't want to say lazy, but they looked...
Lazy is fair.
No, I don't like the word. I had another word.
Tired, exhausted,
disinterested, and not in a bad, like, we don't care way, but in a almost like you're so tired that it comes off as disinterested way. And I don't know how else to describe it other than using that word, and I've had a hard time coming up with, because lazy to me implies a lack of care. And I don't think there was a lack of care. There was just this sloppiness that persisted.
I thought you said it best before when you just mentioned the fact that they were trying too hard, not letting the game come to them.
And that's another great way of talking about it. Like, they were forcing the game rather than letting the game just be played. And when athletes do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail. It's an instant kill to winning. As an athlete, I've always thought, is when you force the game rather than playing the game. And there was a lot of that with the Avs where they did force the game.
You're a little behind. They're already at timeout. I know what he's reacting to.
Yeah, that game.
What the heck? It's slow? How the hell?
Hey, Alex, you don't even want to go down this road. We've done this live where I've got it on a TV. Pinky's got it streaming. Robert has it something else. And then I'll stream it too, what Pinky's streaming, and they're still all different.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
There was one point where I was ahead by like a minute, and everyone was like, "What's happening?" Yeah,
legit. Like, we just told Robert to get out of the way and just stream it through
overtime.
Because it makes no
Celtics
sense.
going to overtime.
Actually, you know what? May as well pull it up.
So, Avs got beat by the Stars. I hate the Stars, but, good for them.
I still contend that I was the only one that was right that said we should have played Vegas.
I think Vegas is just I think the Vegas and the Stars were a bad matchup for us in general because they're both really good physical teams, and we're not
Yeah,
physical.
I just think Vegas isn't what they used to be. That's why the Stars won, and I think people were still thinking about Vegas as
that went to
Vegas.
7, though. I mean, it wasn't like it was.
Look, I think the Avs were, I don't want to say a better team, but as good as Dallas, whether it showed or not.
I think the week and a half off killed the Avs' momentum.
It hurts. It always hurts. So, yeah. I'm excited, though. I'll still be paying attention because we know I'm a sports junkie, but I like the New York storyline and the Rangers. They're one of the original teams in the NHL, and them being good.
They're only good every quarter of a century, so
Big Apple hockey. Let's see it. I like it. I was
chatting with our buddy Mark, and he was like, "Yeah, man, Rangers," and I was like, "When were you a hockey fan?" He's like, "I root for the Rangers." I was like, "Come on, bro."
New York stand up, right? That's what he's thinking. I'm also really excited about the Connor McDavid storyline and what he's doing.
I like Connor McDavid. I like Leon Draisaitl. I think the Stars are going to crush them, though.
I don't.
If they have, they got a chance, right? They're in it. They got a chance, but.
We'll see what happens moving forward, but
I'd rather have the Oilers and the Stanley Cup than the Stars.
It's Florida and Florida and New York, right? I'm remembering that correctly. Florida and New York and then Dallas.
So Rangers, they're only good every quarter of a century. I'd be okay with that. Florida's never won one, so I'd be cool with that. Oilers haven't won one since I think Gretzky? I'm pretty sure they haven't won one since Gretzky.
That sounds right. That sounds right since Mark Messier, Gretzky, that whole group. That sounds right.
Because Messier won with the Rangers, didn't he?
Yes, he definitely won with the Rangers. Gretzky came late and didn't win.
Gretzky had 5 titles with the Edmonton.
And never won again because he went to LA and took them to the promised land, but couldn't get all the way across the promised land. Then he went to New York with Messier at the end, and they went but couldn't get all the way. I think Messier won right before Gretzky got there, not after Gretzky left, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And then Gretzky came. I think they had like 3 years, possibly. Gretzky was still great. I mean, the great one is the great one for a reason. And look, if we want to talk about sports hierarchy and what your favorite sports are and your love and most popular in the world and all of that stuff, we can have that conversation. I personally believe the one conversation you cannot have is the greatest athlete to ever play a sport in an individual sport at the top of that list. Whether you think he's the best overall athlete or not, I don't give a shit. What he did to dominate his sport is on another level compared to anything else, and that's Wayne Gretzky.
It's Gretzky, and then there's like dudes down here.
Like, I think there's a stat out there where it's like you can take away all of Gretzky's goals, and he's still the leading point scorer in NHL history. Like the records and stats and stuff for him are on another level.
I challenge that.
Who?
The GOAT in the NFL.
Brady?
You're damn right.
No, because here's why, Alex. Here's why. Well, Brady has a lot of records and he has the most championships. His records are not so far away from everybody else that has the same stats that you can take away.
He just played way longer than everybody else.
You can't take away years of his career and him still be the leader in said stats. You can do that with I think you can take away Gretzky's first the second half of his career or something, and he's still like the leading goal scorer. It's absurd.
No, not with Ovechkin. Ovechkin's only a couple.
Not with Ovechkin now, but there was a point where those things were like the things that people come up with his stats are on another level. Brady has a lot of records, but like Manning missed a year of his career too, and Brady missed a year of his career. So there's similarities, and he's not so far ahead that you can be like, oh, but if you take away all of Brady's Super Bowl years, he still is the leading passer in the NFL.
Brady surpassed Manning, but it took him 23. He did it like year 21.
He played.
Manning did all that in 18 or 17 seasons. So
the more I dive into Gretzky records, the more absurd and awe-inspired I become.
They're pretty amazing. A long time. Him and Nolan Ryan.
Oh, Nolan Ryan's another good one. But you know who I've gotten on the bandwagon with here recently that is starting to blow my mind even more than Nolan Ryan? And I knew he was really good and everything, but Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson has records out there where he has like 30 starts and 30 complete games and an ERA under 1. And I know that may not be accurate, but like Bob Gibson, I'm starting to do some deep dives on, and that dude is. I am now on the impression that Bob Gibson is the greatest pitcher in MLB history, based on what I've been going down the rabbit hole on. So that's another crazy one. If you love numbers like I do, and you want to see some stats and really deep dive and rabbit hole, go start looking at some Bob Gibson stuff because it's crazy. It's crazy.
If you care about baseball.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
Got to throw that in there.
Real quick.
I think he grew up with baseball, man. Remember we used to play that Nintendo all the time and we'd be trading cards?
Yes, sir.
Real quick before we transition to any other sport, before we don't get an opportunity, the Indy 500 goes off this week, and there's a NASCAR driver doing something in qualifying and putting himself in the front rows of the Indy 500 that I don't know how to compare it to anything else because I'm not schooled enough in race car driving and lore and the ins and outs of it. I'm new to the sport, I would say. But Kyle Larson is sitting in the top 10. He's actually number 6, I believe, in pole position, which is as a rookie driver in the Indy 500 and an Indy car going those speeds coming from NASCAR, based on everything I've read, should not happen. Period. Like, that's the easiest way to say it. It should not happen. And he's doing it, and doing it at a high clip to where he's getting a lot of good speak, if you will, from the guys within the sport or people who have retired and are analysts within the sport. And they're talking very highly of what he's doing. So I say that to say, if you're not already interested in the Indy 500, the greatest spectacle in racing, there's a reason to go get behind something. There's a reason to draw you in. Some dude who's doing something he shouldn't be is about to do it. And so go root for Kyle Larson to win the whole thing and see how it plays out. But the Indy 500 is coming. I think it's a really cool event. I would highly recommend finding out Sunday. I believe it starts at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm in Mountain Time, so that's how I'm relating it. But I believe it kicks off or starts. You'll have to check your local listings, whatever it is. But Indy 500, definitely worth watching, in my opinion.
Duly noted.
Duly noted. That's a great way to put it. Duly noted. Let's see. Oh, Pacers are going to lose.
No, they're not. Shut your mouth.
They're going to lose. They're down. All right, let's talk some NBA. Let's get it out of the way.
Just rip that Band-Aid off, huh?
Yeah.
Right, rip it off.
Yeah. Well, as we know, since it was a bad weekend for Colorado sports fans, the Nuggets got beat in Game 7 after being up 20 points.
Game 7s in Ball Arena have not been kind throughout history. I'll just throw that out there real quick.
Well, and the Nuggets started feeling themselves when they were up 20, and they were just like, I'm going to throw this 3 up. I'm going to throw this 3 up. And then the next thing they knew, like, the gap kept closing. And they just never changed their style of play until it was too late. If you would have told me Jamal Murray has 35 points, Joker has 34, and Anthony Edwards only has 16, I would have said we whooped the shit out of the T-Wolves.
I wouldn't have. I would have asked you what the supporting cast did.
Well, normally they do enough, and they did not.
Look, this unfortunately did not surprise me. And the reason it did not surprise me is the things I was pounding the table and screaming for when last season ended, and the GM took credit for being the genius and the architect at the parade. He didn't do shit, and then he continued to not do shit in the offseason and said, I'm building for multiples, not back-to-backs, and went rookies to fill out the bench and the open positions rather than any vets whatsoever.
Right.
And I believe Calvin Booth failed this organization massively. And what happened, Pinky, and I hear what you're saying. I do think for whatever reason, this season and this playoff run more specifically, the Nuggets kind of had a mentality more of, and they aren't necessarily this kind of team, but the mentality was more on this side of the fence than the other, of being more whiny and finesse rather than hardcore and that dog in them, if you will, like it was last year.
Well,
and I'm not saying they didn't have that; they just had less of it this
year. So they ran into a bad matchup.
Nope, I'm not doing that. I don't want to hear that cop out. This team, yes.
It's not a cop out, it's just a fact.
It's not a bad matchup. They had it won. They had this series won. But because of a mentality that they allowed to persist within them throughout the run, they lost. They were the better team. And I'm going to continue to say that. They were up 20 in the third quarter of Game 7. Here's the ultimate crux of the situation. Yes, they had that mentality, but at some point, if you're not more than 6 deep in the playoffs and the team you're playing can go 9 or 10 deep, you're probably going to lose. And the Nuggets are literally only 6 deep. They're starting 5 plus Christian Brown. That's it. That is the team. I don't want to hear Reggie Jackson. I don't want to hear anything about Peyton Watson or anybody else after that.
Well, Peyton didn't touch the floor after Game 2.
So the fact that the GM thought what he was putting together was going to be good enough for a deep playoff run or even repeat championship, relying on only 6 guys, thinking that rookies that he drafted in the late first or early second round were going to be able to give you solid minutes, was flawed from the start. So while I believe the Nuggets are the most talented team in the NBA still, because of their starting five. The other unfortunate situation you had was MPJ having the worst playoff performance you could possibly ask for. Now, I hear a lot of Nuggets fans calling for a trade for him. I've even heard Nuggets fans saying we should trade Jamal Murray. I think both of those things are foolish and crazy. Absolutely foolish and crazy. What I saw from MPJ last year in the playoffs was a lot of growth. I saw it again this year. He just unfortunately is a shooter who couldn't see anything go down in the playoffs. It's that simple, and it happens sometimes.
2 years in a row, though.
He was, but last year, you saw a lot of rebounding. You saw him stepping up on the defensive side. This year, for whatever reason, you didn't see as much of that, but it wasn't just him, and that's what people want to not discuss. It was the entire bench and team for the most part.
It was everybody. It was everybody.
I'm not going to crash him for all of a sudden not showing up in the playoffs. Look, it happens. It's unfortunate. I hope that I see the same thing where he grows and says, maybe this is why, and I can change some things and do things differently.
So, look, there's two things that I'm feeling right now. I'm still hurting because I still think we are the better team. And I still think we would be the team that could beat the Celtics. I still think, and I took solace in this, the Spurs never won back-to-back.
That's true.
They got 5. They never won back-to-back. Okay? So I take a little bit of solace in that. And then I'm still just so grateful they brought us a championship, man. We never thought we would have seen a championship.
Facts.
Ever.
That's one of the reasons that I talked about a couple weeks back why I'm not going to be so mad if they lose. I'm going to be bummed. I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to be angry or pissed off because
it's a lost opportunity.
It is. It's absolutely.
It's the Broncos in 2012.
But here's the other thing that Nuggets fans don't want to talk about, and why the local media, for whatever reason, doesn't talk about Calvin Booth is beyond me. Somebody's paying him. But who is the president of basketball operations? I don't know if that's his title, but that's basically what he is for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Mike Conley. Tim Conley. Mike is a player. Tim Conley. Where was Tim Conley before? Oh, he was the GM of the Nuggets. Oh, wait, he's the one who drafted Jokic, Murray, MPJ, traded for Gordon. Oh, he is the reason they won a championship because he's the reason that core was there. So regardless of what Calvin Booth wants to claim he didn't do the things that got you to where they were.
And what happened? The Cronkies got cheap.
No, they didn't. And this is where, and you know how I feel about the Cronkies, Pinky, but here's where I'll disagree and say that's not the case in this situation. By all accounts, they offered Conley a solid contract. A solid contract. The problem is Cronky's son wanted to maintain control, which I believe is okay and he deserves the right to because he put Conley in power. He made a lot of good moves that allowed the Nuggets to become great. So I'm okay with the son Cronky still controlling basketball decisions. Conley, though, got an offer from Minnesota that said, hey, you're not just going to be the GM. You are going to be just under the owner. You basically get to make all the decisions. No really great basketball mind that's trying to move up in the sport is going to turn that down. There's a reason Masai Ujiri left Denver and went to Toronto because he got more control. And I'm not mad at that because, again, the son Kroenke, and I just love saying it that way, so I'm not going to give you his real name. The son Kroenke put those guys in power. He put Masai Ujiri. He put Tim Conley. He then, unfortunately, put Calvin Booth. Can he realize, hey, made a mistake, I'm okay with correcting that and move forward, or is he going to let Calvin Booth try to correct it himself? I'm okay with either, but if Calvin Booth falls on his face again and you don't rip the Band-Aid off, then we got problems. But you've made enough good decisions as the pseudo-owner of the Denver Nuggets right now that I'm willing to give you an opportunity to make a mistake and see if you're going to correct it. So the fact that that's in place and Conley is the reason the Nuggets are where they are and now he's controlling the Timberwolves, well, what the hell do you think he did? he knew what he put together, and then he saw what they were going to be, and he had so much faith in what he had built in Denver and knew they were going to be a champion that he went and built the exact thing that's going to beat them in Minnesota. So basically, we saw an epic personnel mastermind school what was, for lack of a better word, his protege.
And he's also, I mean, again, he's credited with, he's got one of the best young players in the NBA, Anthony Edwards, on his rookie deal. Hasn't gotten paid yet. Those decisions will be a little bit tougher as he gets paid. It's going to happen.
No, they won't, because you can literally let Gobert walk and be just as good as a team, if not better. That's what's scary and so brilliant about what Conley's done. Gobert is not a great player, but he is a good player, and he is a good defensive player. He's not a defensive player of the year. I'm not going to go into all of that right now. But what you now, unfortunately, it basically looks like what you gave up to acquire him and paid him was all well worth it, because in my mind, you are the favorites in the playoffs right now to win the championship. And Pinky, we know how I feel about championships. You win one every 10 years and you go all in to do it. I am all for that model.
All for it, baby. All for it.
That's what it looks like Minnesota's doing. The kicker to what Minnesota's doing is they went all in to do it, and now they're in a position based on the way they drafted and developed with a Naz Reid and a McDaniel and the likes, that you can walk Gobert. You can let Gobert walk, pay some of the talent you already have, continue to bring in other talent, fill it with some bet spots, and you're ready to roll again for another 5. They are so scary, similar to what Denver's in the position to do if Denver does things right and Minnesota does things right, that while you may not see dynasties anymore because of the way the NBA free agency and pay structure is set up going forward, they want more of the NFL model, you could still see a Spurs-type dynasty like Pinky talked about, where you don't see repeat champions, but you see it kind of going back and forth. With
what would have made Denver be in the finals right now?
A bench.
That, and if they had taken care of business and gotten the 1 seed.
So, yes, in the sense that they would have been playing.
They would have played the Mavs, which is a better matchup.
Yeah.
And then they would have probably played the Timberwolves.
It absolutely is, and you're right. The kicker with that, though, Pinky, is unfortunately, based on what I saw and what I feel like, Denver's banged up. Jamal was never going to be 100%, which is always going to put them in a hole, which means even if they got to the Western Conference Finals and that's where they face Minnesota, I feel like the outcome still would have been the same, unfortunately.
I don't know. It's 7 games. I mean, it still went to the very end.
One flip either way, right? But based on the mentality I saw this team have in this postseason and the fact that they were banged up, I don't know that we see a different outcome, unfortunately. They had their opportunity. Again, they were up 20 in the third quarter. But let's change this. Let's change this narrative a little bit. While I feel like Denver gave it away, and I won't shy away from that. I don't believe that's a homer take. I feel like Denver gave it away. I will also say 2 things can be true at once, and Minnesota was the hungrier team. And sometimes when you're the hungrier team, you can come out on the victorious end, regardless of if you're the better team or not.
I felt like the Nuggets felt like they could flip that switch, and when times got hard, they couldn't flip it.
They did, though. They did. That's how they got to 7 games. The problem is if you flip the switch, but you didn't pay your electric bill, at some point the electric company is going to turn it off, right? You can flip the switch all you want, but if it's off, it's off. So that's what Denver's bench was. It was off. And when you finally had to rely on your bench, it wasn't there. That's what happened, unfortunately. So, but going away from that, you can say Denver should have had it and they lost it. That's fine. But that I want to be very clear. Before the playoffs started, I said, and before the series started more specifically, I said that these were the 2 best teams left. So whoever won the series was my NBA championship favorite. That has not changed. I believe it's Minnesota, Dallas, Boston, Indy, with a caveat. If Porzingis really does come back healthy and Boston can get to the finals, which they should be able to beat Indy.
They're going to win this game.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to win this one.
But I think this is a good point of me and Pinky. You had to eat some crow last series for this. Boston's going to give you a couple games. They just don't dominate the way they should for whatever reason. They are inconsistent, and it's their MO, which is why I don't have them as a favorite. But I will say if Porzingis comes back and he's fully healthy, I will give them the same odds as Minnesota to win and bump them ahead of Dallas and give them equal odds as Minnesota.
I would still have the Celtics above Dallas.
I think missing Porzingis, I will give Dallas because I like Kyrie and Luka as a consistent duo more than I like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
So
okay.
I'm excited for this Mavs Timberwolves series. Timberwolves have never won a championship. Well, Mavs haven't won one since Dirk was there. What was that? 05, 06?
11.
Okay. That was a long time ago still.
Dirk Money Nowitzki. You pay respects to that man, right? That's my guy. NBA 2K, me and Money Nowitzki, rain shit.
Caleb's offended.
Money!
Caleb could be offended. That's fine. I don't care. But those are still good, good teams. Good for them. Anthony Edwards is fun to watch. I'm not a Gobert fan. I'm not a Karl Anthony Towns fan. I do like Anthony Edwards, though. Although he is a cocky SOB. Like, he did rub me the wrong way a little bit.
See, I think there's a fine line between cocky and confident. And I hate when people call confident people cocky. Ant is a confident human being, and he has every right to be so, and he continues to back it up. He doesn't rub stuff in people's faces. He doesn't.
His whole interview after the game was rubbing it in Jamal's face. I handcuffed him.
Yeah.
He scored 35 points, but I handcuffed him. I'm waving to the crowd as they're leaving.
He should. He earned the right to do so. That's not cocky. That's confident. He wasn't doing it after they got lost and boat raced.
That's
the man scored 40 in the first 4 games of the series. Like, that's a confident young man who everybody always says you should talk a little bit of shit when you're playing sports. But the moment some young guy does it and backs it up, now he's cocky. Hell no. That is
backs it up. He scored 16 points. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't care. Did he
scored 16 points. Get out of here.
Nope.
Get out of here with that mess.
He earned it. I loved it. I loved every minute of what Ant did. He's not cocky. He's confident. Give him his flowers.
I'll have to say I am enjoying the trash talk. It honestly is something that I feel like doesn't exist enough anymore in today's sports that existed so much back in the day. Because everyone, I'm just going to get a little vulgar here. Everyone's too much of a fucking pussy right now to talk shit. And I'm sorry, if you're going to play sports and play at that level, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk shit.
It's part of the game, and the problem is that everybody wants to be personal. It's you leave it between the lines, and you can get off the court and be best friends again. I don't care.
We talked about this, dude, not long ago.
I've had plenty of friends over the years. Some of them were my best friends. Did some of the stuff we said to each other on the court, like, you should not be saying, but it was just part of the game, and you're just trying to do the little, get under their skin, the mental aspect of the game, all that good stuff. It's just fun, and you know that. And then the final whistle blows, the final buzzer sounds. You walk outside those lines, and you forget the stuff was even going on because it didn't matter.
Could you imagine the shit Larry Bird would get in today for half of it?
Larry Bird would be canceled, guaranteed. That man would be canceled instantly in today's modern era.
And he'd still probably score 40 to 50.
Yeah.
So
that's my boy, Larry Bird. That's my guy. I'm going to use my left hand because I'm saving my right hand for tomorrow because you guys suck is basically what he told one. Not alone. Just come on now. So we're all on the same page there. Cheers, gentlemen.
Yep. Brost.
So
I do just have to say, go ahead, Caleb.
No, you go.
I was going to say, with that being said, having watched some of the highlights and stuff, and then the clip with Ant talking trash afterwards, it honestly got me excited for sports again. Like, just watching some stuff like that is where I love seeing people talk shit and backing it up and saying, you know what, come get me. And that the fact that this was Game 7, that's just is going to carry over into the next season, and it's going to be a great series. Plain and simple.
I mean, let's be honest. Well, I fully support and loved everything the Nuggets said after their championship run, and I would have been fine if any team did that.
Finger licking good.
The Nuggets had to eat a little bit of their own words after this postseason loss, and I'm good with that too. And I think you are right, Robert. We're seeing a budding new rivalry, and if the Nuggets GM can be smart this offseason and make the right moves, I truly believe you're about to see a run of two teams going back and forth for titles for the next couple 3 to 5 years. Honestly, I believe these are the two best teams in the NBA. I think Boston's right there if Porzingis is healthy because of their bench depth.
But when is Porzingis healthy, right? The fact that he made it most of the season being healthy was pretty much a miracle.
I mean, unfortunately, though, at this point, you can kind of say the same thing about Jamal Murray. And you know how I feel about injury prone versus just unlucky, Pinky. And we've talked about this before. Jamal's very quickly getting onto that injury prone list rather than unlucky. So, you know, you look at things like that and you go, well, damn. Karl Anthony Towns is kind of on the verge of being injury prone rather than unlucky. So you look at the top, what I believe are the three best teams for the foreseeable future in the NBA based on the way they're constructed, and they've all got the same issue with their top tier but not their star player. Because, you know, you look at Boston, Jason Tatum's the guy, but Porzingis is your 2 or 3, depending on how you feel about Jaylen Brown. You look at Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns is your 2, maybe your 1, depending on how you feel about Ant, if he's still coming into his game. And then you look at Jamal Murray is the 2, and next to Jokic. So they've all got the same issue, but who's going to be able to make sure their bench is filled out? That's really what it comes down to. And I do believe MPJ is going to continue to grow and be a great asset, so you keep him. I believe Boston should keep Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown together because I believe that is a devastating 1-2 combo. You just got to find the right pieces around them. I believe if you're Minnesota, you can easily let Rudy Gobert walk. The kicker, though, if you do that, though, is you get smaller. And that's one of the reasons you were able to go at Jokic as much as you were, is because of the continuous height you could throw at him. Not just Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns, but also Gobert. So can you get him on a discount and keep him around? Because if he wants the big dollars, he's going to go somewhere else. Somebody will pay him. He's not worth it, but you'll see that correlate. So there's a lot of questions hanging over. And I think a dark horse in all of this is 2 teams, honestly, and they're both in the West. What does OKC do? Because they've got a lot of young talent and a lot of draft picks. Do they go all in and bring back a guy like Paul George and give you a true scorer opposite SGA who can also play defense? Or do you do something else to fill out? Or do you continue what you already have and continue to build and grow like San Antonio, like Denver and Minnesota have done? And do you just kind of roll off their coattails and hope you're the 3rd team in line or maybe pass one of them? Or do you go all in with some of your draft picks and stuff and bring in somebody? The other team that I think people are forgetting about because they kind of got smoked by OKC, but there's a reason for it in the first round, and that's New Orleans. If Zion Williamson is ever healthy in the playoffs, get to that point, if he figures it out, Brandon Ingram was just getting back from injury when the playoffs started. So he was still trying to figure out where he was.
That's a big if, my friend.
That's what I was going to say, Pinky. And you're absolutely right. It's a big if with both those guys. Both of them are injury prone on my scale. They're both injury prone, not unlucky. They're both injury prone. So you're counting on a lot with a big what if. But New Orleans has the pieces to what if those what ifs turn out on the right side of that fence. New Orleans is scary good. And I don't know if people are giving them enough respect for how talented that roster and team is because of the injury-prone issues that they have. But they've got pieces that they can bring forward too and be very competitive in the West. So that's where I would be looking at in the future. As far as where we're at right now, I do think Minnesota is the best team remaining. I do like them to win the finals. I do like them to beat Dallas in 6 in a very competitive series. And I personally think Boston is going to the finals regardless of Porzingis or not. But if Porzingis doesn't play, I think you see Minnesota beat Boston in 6. I'm sorry, in 5. If Porzingis plays, I think it could go 6 or 7, but I still like Minnesota. That's how much I think Porzingis changes what Boston does. If Porzingis doesn't play at all in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think this could go 6 or 7 because Boston has proven they're so inconsistent, they'll give a game here or there, which puts them in an even worse position because if Minnesota gets any time to rest or it's equal, it only gives Minnesota more ammo. Boston needs as much time to rest as they can right now because Porzingis needs to play. And if he can't, they don't have a chance. If he does play, he has to be fully healthy. I could see it going 6 or 7 against Minnesota, but I still like Minnesota to win it all.
Yeah, I would definitely. If Minnesota plays the type of defense they played against us, they should definitely win it all.
And again, when I say I think Denver gave it away, Minnesota didn't take it. 2 things can be true. Minnesota was the hungrier team. So Denver left an opening and Minnesota went out there and took advantage of that opening.
Completely.
But when I say these things, I feel like saying it makes it feel like I think there's like this big difference, and there's not. I think those 2 teams were very close, which is why I said they were the 2 best teams remaining and why I said whoever comes out of that series, I think, wins the championship. Ooh. So while I think Denver was the better team and they gave it away, I hate saying that in sports, especially in a series, because I do believe a series is more of the better team won scenario. So I don't like saying the better team didn't win type of thing. It's just the deeper team won in this situation. And go ahead, Alex.
Little known fact there. You know, the Celtics have a pretty bad record against the West Coast, if you look at that in the finals. So that's also a negative against Boston right there.
Oh, I mean, look, when you're talking about all-time NBA franchises, it's always between Boston and LA. And me personally, I understand why Boston's in that conversation, but let's be honest, they ain't done shit since the 80s.
Yep.
As a franchise. Outside of the big 3 winning the championship in 2000, was it 8 or 9? 8?
It was 08 because the Lakers won 9 and 10.
Thank you. Yep. Outside of that, they haven't done shit, and they've been front runners that haven't lived up to it, i.e. what they did this year and the year before and a couple years back when they lost to Golden State.
They've been like the Buffalo Bills lately.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of what it feels like. So while Boston is a historically great franchise, and they're not awful when it comes to recent history and stuff, they've still won games, right? And they've been in the finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals and things of that nature. But the Lakers have won titles in every decade.
Yeah.
So that's why I would, you want to say they've got the same number overall, fine, whatever. But the Lakers have been a more consistent. And if we want to go even a little bit deeper, Jerry West, I believe, went to the finals 9 years in a row, or 9 out of 10. Only won 1, but went 9 out of 10 or 9 in a row. I can't remember the exact verbiage on that. Only won 1, but they were still in the finals, right? Yes. You can't say the same thing about the 90s. The Celtics were non-existent, right? Like, they were just not good at all.
Yeah, I don't think they were good.
The early 2000s, they were bad and non-existent. Paul Pierce, as an all-time great to me, is laughable. Good player, I think, not a great player. So there's a lot of things that I think if you really want to start nitpicking on why Boston is actually not a all-time great franchise compared to the Lakers, they're 1 and 2, but I think there's a clear 1 in my mind.
I give Boston respect as my nemesis. I respect them, I don't have to hate them, but I don't like them, but I respect them. So either way, I kind of do give them that second best franchise by default, or that they are actually an all-time franchise. That's what I'm alluding to. Actually.
Yep, absolutely. Big E, correct. Jerry West is the only losing player in the NBA to be the MVP of the finals without actually winning.
That's nuts.
It is nuts. And Jerry West is crazy underrated on the all-time great list, along with I'll throw out another Laker name, Elgin Baylor. I don't think either one of them gets the respect on the all-time great list that they truly deserve. And if you go back and look at their games and their stats, it's pretty wild, actually. So, but that ring culture, the more that became prevalent, I think the less they had accolades to back it up and got pushed further down the list.
That is true.
So,
thanks, Jordan. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Jordan gets respect. He's the GOAT.
It is funny that Jordan gets the blame for that, because to me, it's like rings only matter when you're nitpicking about the GOAT. To me, above and beyond that, I'm amazed Barkley doesn't get talked about more as a top 20 player of all time. The dude's 6'4",
6'6",
and might be the best power forward of all time.
This is nuts. He's just 6'6", but his reach though, dude, the guy has extendo arms, man.
So you want to say Tim Duncan's the greatest of all time as far as power forwards? That's fine, but Barkley should be in that conversation.
I agree.
Along with Malone. And I just puked up a little bit speaking Karl Malone's name out loud because the dude's a pedophile and should be blackballed from all conversation. But unfortunately, the NBA still recognizes him, and we have to discuss his stats. And that makes me sick. Side note, sorry. Take us away, somebody, please. What's next?
Well, I wanted to. We always talk a little NFL. We are in I think we're pretty solidly in the dead season of the NFL right now.
Absolutely.
So we have to come up with things to talk about. But since we have a guest and he is a Raiders fan, how are you feeling about the Raiders in 2024?
Wait, can we tell him what I said last week? That
Sure.
You scoffed at me for?
I did.
You tell him then. I want to hear you have to say it.
So we had a segment, which I was also going to bring back up to see, what your thoughts were.
Sure.
But we talked about what teams we are excited for in the 2024 season.
Well, it's my fault. I read it wrong. I didn't say I was excited for, more so that I think they could be an exciting team. So caveat, it's semantics, whatever you want to say. I read Pinky's thought process wrong, and I went with something a little bit
So
different.
Robert was smart, and he picked the Lions and the Rams. I was smart because I picked the Packers and the Eagles. And Caleb wanted to pick the Colts and the Raiders.
Okay.
And the Raiders are getting better.
You have one of my picks, and Caleb has one of my picks.
The Raiders are getting better, but I don't know if I'd say I'm excited about them. So,
and I didn't say I was excited. I said they could be an exciting team, and the reason for which is because of the fact that, and I don't know why NFL teams don't do it, but they have the ability to run a vicious, insanely good 12 personnel with Myers, Bowers, Devontae Adams on the outside, run your quarterback with Gardner Minshew, who I think is underrated. I think Zamir White can be a solid running back, and I think Jacoby Myers is a great too. So I think you run the 12 personnel, and I think you could be a dark horse, really sneaky, great offense. That's why I thought they could be an exciting team. Not that I was excited for them. I'm a goddamn Broncos fan. I'm not ever going to say I'm excited about the Raiders, but I will try to be objective and say that I think they did some good things, and I think they could be an exciting team. Put words in my goddamn mouth, you disgusting human being. You disappoint me tonight, Pinky.
So you brought up something that I always give consideration to every season, a dark horse team. So fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how things pan out, the Raiders are in this dark horse category at the moment. So based on, of course, at the beginning of last year's season, it was a headache. I had a lot of headaches. I threw a lot of F-bombs and S-bombs, and man, boy, I was pissed. I turned beet red just watching them play. But for some reason, when they started Josh McFuckery got fired, things turned around. And you know what? At that time, they were the 26th best defense in the NFL. So at the end of the season, they ended up being in the top 3 defenses. And they were the top 1 defense for like 3 or 4 straight weeks. So now that they added, now there's more added experience there, and they've got time to work with Antonio Pierce's philosophies now. And I think that defense is going to be something else, man. Freaking Crosby, opposite our draft pick now. I forgot his damn name. But not just that. That Raiders defense is solid. They have solid contributors in linebacker, solid contributors safety-wise and corners. I think that is a complete defense overall. But I'm not so excited. I mean, the offense, I see why on paper, why it looks good. But here's what's going to happen. Who knows? Minshew might get beat out by AOC.
No.
It might happen.
I don't see that.
Antonio Pierce is a smart guy. Like, even Pinky, who refuses to say nice things about the Raiders, will say he thinks Antonio Pierce is a great head coach. So you guys have a real one, I believe, who's not going to allow those buffoonery things to continue moving forward. And by the way, you guys did actually finally hire a real GM, which does help the overall situation.
I mean, it's Tom Telesco, though. Let's be.
Well, but it's still a real GM instead of an NFL Network analyst, right? Like, I mean, like, you're at least you still put somebody. We know how I feel about decision makers in the NFL, right, Pinky? Like, 70% of them shouldn't have a job. It's just the good old boy system.
Mark Davis should not be an owner.
Yeah, well, you inherit money and things happen for you. So that's the way it is. But he's at least smart enough to realize that Antonio Pierce is the right guy to continue coaching the team. I mean, he finally made that good decision. So there's things to look up. I personally, and this is crazy to say, but I have more faith in the direction the Raiders are going right now than I do the Broncos. But that's only because
that's not a surprise.
I know, but again, it's just because
you're the most negative Broncos fan we've ever met. So
that's not true. That's not true. I'm the only one.
It's a fact.
No, it's not. I'm the only one who's willing to be realistic. And Pinky, you can say that jokingly, but what I was saying for the last 3 years is where all Broncos fans are right now. So don't sit here and say I'm a negative fan when everybody's all of a sudden on the same bandwagon I was driving for the last 3 years.
They never do anything that makes you happy. You are the most negative fan I've ever met. That is a cold fact.
That's so far from the truth. You guys are all saying the same thing I am. You're just all saying it 3 years later. So how am I the negative bad fan when I'm the only one who is willing to admit the truth and speak it?
It's fine. You are the only fan that I don't know of. Like, if they do anything, you normally hate it.
That's
without a doubt.
That's not true. That's not true. Simply not true. What did I say about this year's draft?
I mean, somehow you liked it. It was pretty crazy, but you don't like anything else.
Something intelligent. Like, and I've openly admitted it. I do it with Nebraska. So I understand where it comes from, but I hope spring eternal with Nebraska and always think things are going to be good until they show me they're not. I'm not that way with the Broncos. I am just as big a Broncos fan as you are. I'm just willing to speak truth with their situations rather than say hope springs eternal with their situations. So again, and you've said this, so why you're not admitting it now blows my mind. But the things I was saying 3 years ago are what everybody was hoping this year. So you guys are just all late to the party that I was already sitting at waiting. But you're telling me I was negative and being pessimistic about it.
You're always negative about the Broncos. It's fine.
No, that's unfair.
And again, I'm more biased than most because I have to listen to your Nebraska bullshit.
That's
unfair. And your Nebraska bullshit is so positive when they suck every year. The Broncos suck every year, and you're so negative. So, like, it's not the same thing.
No, see, that's...
And you admit it. No. You admit it.
No.
That it's not the same. Your Nebraska love and your spring eternal bullshit. Like, if they were the same, I would love you more if they were the same.
When the season starts with Nebraska and they're bad, I go straight to, I was wrong, they're bad.
No, there's been multiple years you talk about how great they're going to be and they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and they suck. And yet you have more hate on the Broncos than you do Nebraska.
I just have to point out.
That's why
I hold
that deep against you
Yeah, but you're not fair with it. That's the problem. You're not
I
fair
don't have
with
to be
it.
fair with it. It's what the fact is. If
It's
you
not
had
the
the
fact that
same
you're not dealing with it fair.
negativity
No,
towards Nebraska, I would accept it more.
I do, though, and that's what you don't want to listen to. When I'm so optimistic, like when I was saying Adrian Martinez was a dark horse Heisman candidate, I wasn't the one that was the first one to even say it. National media pundits were already saying it. When I'm saying Nebraska could finish second or third in the Big Ten, I wasn't the only one saying it. National media pundits were also saying it. There's a difference between me being blind optimism and being realistic optimism. Broncos fans for the last 3 years have been blind optimistic. I was the only one who was sitting here saying, here's the reality. And then when you guys finally came over, all you were saying was I was negative the whole time. You weren't saying I was speaking the truth. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. I even said when they got Russ, I predicted their record to be like 10-6 or something stupid. Because while I didn't like the Russ move, I still thought there was talent on the team. So to say I was pessimistic all the time and I was just this negative Nancy is unfair and not true. I was just the only one who was willing to speak about the fact that where they're at is actually where they're at. And then you guys all told me I was just being bad because of it. I don't like this negative connotation that's been placed upon me that I don't feel is true.
Now, one thing, Caleb, I'll say to back you up on this, I absolutely fucking hated the Russ move. I thought it was the stupidest thing the Broncos ever fucking did.
At the Raiders payday, I'm with you.
It ruined them entirely.
All right, we're going to do this now. Biggie, what have you been right about that I have been wrong about over the last 3 years?
I had really good things to talk about. Now we got all derailed.
You started it.
You started it.
I did not.
Oh my God.
I did not start this. But
I
now
open another beer for this.
Now I need Big
I'm
E
out of
to,
alcohol too. I don't even have any more to
Isn't
drink.
Big E the same guy over here saying they're going like 13-4 this year? Like
that's Clayton. That's Clayton.
Okay. Look,
Big E's got realistic expectations.
The only thing you could say I'm wrong on, and I don't care what anybody says, I haven't been proved wrong on it, is the drafting of Surtain over Fields. If somebody wants to say I'm wrong on that, I will listen to that argument. But I'll still.
I've already told you you're wrong on that.
I'm not. It hasn't been.
We've already went over that.
It hasn't.
You haven't been proven wrong yet. He got traded by his own fucking team for a 6th-round pick. If he's that fucking good, they wouldn't have traded him, bro. He's not good.
Yeah, you absolutely would trade him if he's good, given the situation, the market, the value, the contract. There's so many things that go into this situation that you cannot even say that.
Pinky, you might think that better scheme and be better. It's just in the scheme.
Dude,
I don't believe he's ever going to be a true starting quarterback.
You believe that. You haven't been proven that yet. That's the difference.
Hey, we'll see.
He's going to start week 1 for Pittsburgh, and you're going to have to eat crow right away. So
he's not. Russell Wilson's going to start week 1. You're going to give me a bottle of whiskey, and then Justin Fields will start like week 3 or 4. That's what's going to happen. I don't think Justin Fields starts more games this year.
So the guy
Russell Wilson starts week 1.
The guy earlier who was commenting, Justin Rogers, he's a great friend of mine. He's local. Pinky, you're going to see him when we do UFC for McGregor and Chandler. But he's a big Pittsburgh's guy. So I've actually been meaning to talk to him about all of this and get his thoughts. But I would have to say Russell Wilson will start, but then that'll be it.
Yeah, I think he's starting this season, and then it wouldn't be long until Fields is taking over. I agree with Caleb.
There's zero reason for Pittsburgh to start Russell Wilson. The moment they traded for Fields, he was QB1. They just didn't have to say it out loud.
Mike Tomlin is a man of his word, and he told Russell Wilson from the start he is the starter.
I don't know how many times you have to go over this, Pinky. I don't know how many times you have to go over this. He is a man of his word, and he did tell Russell that, and it was true when he told him that. But guess what? After he told him that, they traded for Justin Fields. So he didn't lie to Russell Wilson. He didn't tell him anything that wasn't true at the time. But the fact that they went and traded for a better quarterback with more talent is all you need to know about who's starting week 1. You don't trade for Justin Fields and say, hey, let's let him learn from Russ. The fuck is he going to learn from Russell Wilson?
Well, again, when you eat that crow and bring me my bottle of whiskey, it'll be all good.
We'll find out. Big E, there's nothing that's been proven wrong yet. Second contract means nothing. The fact of the matter is the Broncos took a luxury pick in the modern NFL in drafting Surtain over what you need, which is a quarterback in today's modern NFL. They also decided to keep a coaching staff that had been proven they already had no idea what they were doing, and they continue to allow a GM to make decisions that shouldn't. So there are many things wrong with why Justin Fields and Patrick Surtain doesn't look like it's a equal scenario type thing right now. But not like Patrick Surtain is equaling wins. And by all statistical
Justin
measurements,
Fields, so I guess it's still even,
all
right?
statistical measurements, and most, not all, but the majority of NFL talking heads will all say Justin Fields improved and was getting better. So to sit here and act like he's a crap quarterback when record and stats say otherwise is just somebody who just wants to hate on Justin Fields.
He's never going to be the superstar you want him to be.
Why?
He's just not, man.
But you can't tell me why. Every time we have this conversation, you continue to hold this idea that he's not good.
His consistency is never going to be where you want it to be for him to be a superstar.
Why?
Because it's not. He's not as good as you think he is. Just because he was great in a Clemson game against a fucking shitty Clemson defense, you've got this magic picture of him in the future that he's never going to be.
It wasn't a shitty defense, Pinky. So don't.
That year they were. They absolutely were.
2 years in a row, my guy. 2 years in a row, he did the same thing to Clemson. So don't act like it was a one-off. Second of all, he didn't just do it against Clemson. He did it for 2 years in a row throughout the entire college football season. He just happened to also do it on the biggest stage when it mattered the most. Third,
let's move on because you're just going to piss me off.
Nope. I already know I have. That's why I'm continuing.
Okay.
Third.
Oh, man.
I love it. Third, you have even admitted that he was playing for an awful team personnel.
The heck?
There we go. Now we're good.
Oh my gosh.
What the hell?
I'm putting him in timeout.
Oh my god.
He's getting my blood boiling.
We're back.
That's what's funny. We want to talk about facts and actual numbers.
You're never going to get. You want to talk about. We've done this. We've done this so many times. You're not going to get me off this hill.
Then all of a sudden, it's okay. All right.
But you're not going to get. You're not going to get me off this hill, bro. No matter what you say, it doesn't fucking matter. You're not going to get me off.
You know, because right now we're totally in the
feelings. Facts and
dead
feelings.
months.
Facts and feelings.
I mean, you
haven't shown any fucking facts.
It's hard for me to get excited about NASCAR or golf. Because it's all we're going to see. I take some respite, though, to watch the UFL because it gives me vibes about football. So I can't complain. It's actually just sit down and watch it without expectations, and you're actually watching a pretty good game in a UFL game. So I would give it that.
Martinez is about to be the UFL MVP.
But for now, this is
GBR, baby. Everywhere we go.
It's just mostly boxing and UFCs and BKFCs or one FCs if I can. When I try to catch those Fridays, because some Fridays I'm out.
Oh, I can't believe you just turned me off.
I decided to stay home on those Fridays, and there's a one FC championship. I'm going to watch it. I do recommend you to check that out. It's Friday evenings. It's already happening in the morning in Singapore. Just around the other side of the world.
I'm not dying on any hill.
Die on that hill like you did with Kenny Pickett.
Wrong.
Over Baker Mayfield.
It's that simple, Biggie. If there's finally facts that say Justin Fields is not a good quarterback, I'll eat my crow, just like I do everything else where there is facts that prove me wrong. Until you have facts, I don't want to hear about your feeling. I don't want to hear about your opinion that has zero fact based in it. Give me the facts that prove I'm wrong. I will go eat my crow and I'll be fine.
I hope it's not.
I already said Kenny Pickett was worse than Baker Mayfield. I ate my crow on that. Kenny Pickett is not as good as Baker Mayfield. I'm a hater on Baker Mayfield. He's better than Kenny Pickett. I ate my crow. But do not sit here and give
This
me
is a
this
dead
shit where you
weekend.
say somebody else is better and there's nothing.
It's so unfortunate because it's Memorial Day weekend, you know. No fights Saturday, and
isn't there a UFC
I don't really
fight
like
night?
to watch up and comers in boxing anymore. I like to watch up and comers in MMA, yes, because right now boxing is so like more condensed to the bigger name fighters. They barely show, you know, unknown fighters. I don't really like to watch those, but in the UFC though, I'm willing to do that. Guarantee you.
Yeah, they don't have any.
Oh man,
do they have any fight nights coming up this weekend?
More money than Justin Fields with this second contract. Ooh.
I mean, that's not really fair.
Because
it's not really fair because Justin Fields is going to get a shit contract, but
who's going to get the start? Is it going to be Kenny? Is it going to be? I think Pickett's still going to get the start though.
No,
Wilson is
Pickett's
not going to win that job.
Pickett's in
Fields
Philadelphia.
Win that job, but we'll see.
Pickett's in Philly.
I'm leaning towards Pickett to be QB.
Yeah, Alex changed the whole conversation. He's a good guy.
This is a good chance and good time now to grab some beer. I'll be right back.
Alex,
grab me another beer.
Grab a beer. We got to wrap this up. We got a couple minutes left. I'll wait till he gets back. Oh, Caleb. You love that hill? I love my hill.
It's not a hill. Facts. Talk to me with facts. Then we'll talk. Stats.
I mean, he's still a losing. He's still a losing quarterback, and he's still on his second team.
And yet, you would agree with everything I said. Terrible team, terrible personnel, terrible coaching around.
He didn't get a fair. I will say, I agreed that he didn't get a fair shot, but he still didn't show to me anything that was like, yeah, you know, he's still going to be really good. I don't think he's ever going to be that superstar you want him to be.
I've never said he was going to be a superstar.
You did. You have.
No.
Yes,
no.
You have.
You
have said from the start he would be a
better
superstar.
Than Trevor Lawrence, and he would be a starting QB in the NFL that would be really good. I never said a superstar.
I mean, quarterback plays the most important position in football, but I don't. Is that a real question, Biggie? I don't get it.
Look, all the stats say Justin Fields improved. He improved. So for people to sit here, that's what blows my mind. For people to sit here and say he's a shitty quarterback, but they'll say the team around him was shitty, and then ignore the fact that his numbers improved. I don't understand the correlation to then saying he's
I just think he's going to be around that Dalton line. And that's not bad. You can win some games with that.
Oh, man.
But that's not like upper echelon great quarterback. I don't.
Look, the hill I will die on is the fact that any quarterback taking a risk on is better than drafting a cornerback that's going to be your starting cornerback for 10 years on a losing team. It's always worth taking the quarterback risk. I will always die on that hill.
All right.
What do we? I don't know where Big E's going with this. Peyton Manning was awful his first year for sure. Like worst quarterback ever first year.
Oh, he had enough that first year. He just threw a lot of picks.
The record, not a lot. The record, 28, I think it was. Something stupid.
I don't know what point Biggie's trying to make here.
I think he's trying to say Justin Fields should have made the Bears better, but I think he's forgetting Peyton Manning had one of the best play callers in the NFL at the time. So,
God! Speaking of the Bears, we have their former offensive coordinator.
Yeah, not sure what you guys were doing hiring Getsy. That was a
that's
move.
an interesting move.
Oh man!
Good luck with that.
That was questionable for sure.
We agree on something, Caleb.
We can all agree on that one.
I agree. Sorry. Even though it's against me, I agree.
All right.
That was questionable. Yeah.
Alex, let's wrap this up with, as a football fan, what are you excited for? What teams are you maybe excited for this season?
I'm excited, of course, for my own Raiders because I've always been into that. That's my thing. I grew up on smash mouth football, defense and hard running, and I'm still a fan of that. So the Raiders, they're starting to kind of fit that mold already, and I'm going to see that. Hopefully, I'm just saying anything can happen. Who knows? We'll win the Super Bowl. Right. Anyway, good.
No, man, you let Josh Jacobs go. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
I don't think that will be the reason they don't.
I'm excited about the Packers because here's the thing. You've already seen the coming out with Jordan Love. This next season is going to be a statement season. If he already did not make a statement in that 9-game run where he was incredible last year. So Packers, Raiders, and what I'm always excited about is this time's around the international games. I picture myself being in one of those at least next year. I'm buying a ticket. I'm going to it. I don't care where it's at. Mexico, London, Germany. Let's go.
Australia?
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about Australia next year.
Why not? Why not? I'm all right with that.
I do like the international games. I do. I'd love
the first game with the Packers and Eagles.
And Brazil. Yeah, that one's a really big game.
I know I'm on my own here, but I hate the international games.
Oh, I love them.
Dude, they're great, man. I'm sorry.
Caleb,
one...
You're taking away a game from the home fans. Hate it.
That's crap.
No, it's not.
No, it's crap. Because you know why, Caleb? There are so many people that pay through the nose to see an international soccer team come over here to the States and play. That's crap. When Roma came here...
It's not, Robert, because tell me one time one of those European Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, name one time when one of their regular season games were held somewhere else.
Why would they be?
Exactly my point. They're exhibitions that they play over here.
They are so popular. Games. They don't have to because they're already so popular to just stream it on Sunday mornings here on Peacock.
Right. So why isn't the NFL doing the same thing? Take a preseason
because no
game
one
overseas.
gives a crap about the NFL outside of America.
That's not true anymore.
Yeah, they do. They'd sell out a preseason game in Germany or England. Guaranteed.
Because it matters now. So when they're starting to bring that over there, now they're going to develop their own type of sport, or not sport, their own leagues to where now you may get a type situation, and now you've got a world-class football league.
They're promoting.
You can't be world champions when you only play American teams. That's crap. Sorry. Out of here with that, because that is...
What does that have to do with taking away a game from a home fan?
Because at the end of the day, you're still getting that team out into the world that all the other clubs for soccer have. If you want football to be this great pinnacle sport, it's got to get out of America and actually
it's more revenue than longer.
Yeah, but you have to have a team in that country for it to matter.
So
if you're taking two American teams and you're putting them in a foreign country to play an American regular season game, you're hurting the fans that actually support the team.
So you're showing a 10-year-old kid that, hey, you know what? You could play in this sport and get to America and do this. Or you can have your own insight, make your own team, your own league, make it be even better than what
you can do that with a preseason exhibition game, just like football does, just like soccer does.
Nope.
Why not?
It's not going to be worth it because people want to play to see the players that are actually worth money.
No. The NFL isn't that small anymore, Robert. They would sell out a preseason game anywhere they decide to put the preseason game. They'll sell it out.
Overseas, it is.
Overseas, they will sell out a preseason game.
No, I won't buy that.
So,
Pinky, will the NFL sell out a preseason game in Wembley?
Well, they've done it before.
Yeah.
So, yes. But what I enjoy about the international game and what most people who go to an international game will say is that it's not just the teams that are playing. You have every jersey and every team represented. And these are fans that like they root for a different team, but they're still paying money to come watch teams play.
Even more reason for it to not be a regular season game. That's even more reason to not have it. Robert, you would never see a Premier League, a Bundesliga, a La Liga, a Serie A. You would never, ever, ever see one of those teams allow a team from outside that country to be in that league.
Well,
first of all, you would also never see them take one of their regular season games and play it outside of their country. Ever. That would never happen.
If you're trying to grow a brand, you absolutely will. If you're trying to grow a sport like football to an NFL level to other people and make it better than what soccer is and all this talk in America, that's how you do it.
You do understand the literal only reason there's not an NFL team overseas is only due to logistics. You understand that is the only reason that's not happened yet, right?
And it doesn't have to be NFL. That's the point. Because you have like you've said, a Premier League, a Bundesliga. It doesn't need to be the NFL.
True.
But you're not going to get anything else unless you're bringing it to those markets, period.
No, wait. Those leagues will never allow it because it takes away from their product, man. That would water down and take away the product. That's why those other leagues haven't done it. If the Premier League actually thought they could make more money by putting a Premier League team in, say, New York, they would have done it already.
They would have no reason to do it. That's why they have the MLS Premier League exhibition matches, because they are bringing other teams to other countries to play against each other.
Right, exactly.
That's what matters.
They have no reason to do it because the bottom dollar would say it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Absolutely worth it. I would pay through the nose again to see Arsenal or Mainz came. Dude, I got to see FC Mainz come and play here down the street.
No. You're missing the point. You're missing my point. Would we pay to see it? Yes. That's not what I'm arguing. That's not what I'm arguing at all. The Premier League understands that it's not worth it to take away something from their fans. They already understand what the NFL is going to eventually figure out.
Because they are already making so much money
Caleb,
here anyway.
Does it make the other 7 games less valuable at home? No. They still sell them out. So, like, what does it matter?
Again, I'm not arguing the value of the game. People are going to buy it whether it's regular season or, again, that game will sell out if it's preseason. Guaranteed. No questions asked. Just like the soccer exhibitions do over here.
I think
what I'm arguing is you're taking away from the home fan. I don't know how you guys aren't seeing. You are taking away something from the actual supporters of the team for something that, as Pinky just said, 75-80% of the stadium isn't actually there to support the team. They're there to support the shield. That's where the NFL is making the mistake in my mind.
Okay. I like them.
Yep. I'm a huge proponent for them. They matter.
Alex, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's not necessarily like a net negative. It's just something negative against just a little bit, but then it's offset by a much bigger pro. And it's something that's overlooked. It's promoting American football worldwide.
I agree, but I still contend that you're going to get the same appeal, the same reach if it was regular season or preseason. I don't think the game itself matters to the fans that are attending it overseas because, like Pinky said, 80% of the stands are not there to see those teams. They're there to see the product, not the actual result.
I'm calling
it. Give them a good product then.
There will be a Super Bowl International one day. Watch. I'm calling it now.
Gross. Super gross. And I say it's gross because of something Robert said. It's not an international game. It's not an international game, so why are you holding it internationally? And Robert, one more thing that you brought up that I think is an interesting point. You can call yourselves world champions because there are other countries that have football. They're just awful at it. It's no different than America in soccer. There's a reason the Champions League is the best ultimate club team in the world. And it's recognized as such. Doesn't matter that the MLS doesn't participate. They don't participate because they're not any good. They play the sport, but they're not good enough to be in the top tier. There's other countries that play football, but they're not good enough to be in the NFL. So this whole world champion. There's a reason I'm okay with the NBA team saying they're world champions, because there's not another club team in the world that's going to beat whatever NBA team wins the world championship. That's a fact. So, that point, I could care less about what the overall title is, because other people play it. They're just not as good at it.
Final thoughts.
Pinky turned me off tonight.
I did.
Turned straight
both
up.
left. So don't even with your high school crap. Get with both of you. Don't even.
Like straight up.
No. I will turn off both of you. Don't even.
Petty.
Move on.
We can't even have a grown adult conversation.
That just felt better than saying F you the whole time. So
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Can't even have an adult conversation.
Because you both were acting like adults anyway, so
not about Justin Fields.
One of us was still being adults. I asked for facts. Somebody didn't want to give it.
As a guest, I've had fun.
But I gave facts. He's on a second team already.
He's welcome back anytime. He's a Bud Crawford fan, so let's keep that in mind.
With the Champions League, I am super
Eric
excited.
Crouch fan back in the day, because he was an amazing athlete.
There you go.
The NFL just screwed him. Didn't give him a chance.
I mean, he still wanted to play quarterback and then decided too late that he wanted to try a different position. So it's kind of on him too, unfortunately. Sorry, Robert, go ahead.
No. So I was just saying, final thoughts with the Champions League. I'm excited. Stuttgart's back in it after being out for last so many years. So that's right, Alex. That's right, baby.
That's my hometown.
I lived there for a few years, so that's why I'm saying we'll connect and we'll talk for sure.
Yes, sir. You know how crappy VfB Stuttgart has been for so long.
I was
seeing this is like, wow.
Yes, so I'm loving it. I'm relishing in it. It's wonderful.
Robert's hard again.
Leverkusen.
What they accomplished is amazing.
This whole Bundesliga season.
I have nothing in sports to even compare it to, Alex, because it's just wild.
Which Caleb, I mean, Alex, if you're around, because Pinky won't be here anyway, when he's in San Antonio, Caleb, we do have something very crucial to talk about on our cast when Pinky's not here, and that would be the Euros, sir, which start on the 14th of June.
I'm down. I'm there.
So I'm just saying that's something that is on the list to discuss for our episode when Pinky is not with us, since he doesn't care anyway.
I'm all about a little Euros conversation.
So
I mean, it's basically a mini World Cup. So
exactly. So I'm excited. There's some big things happening. That is one of the greatest things to watch, I think, in the summers when it comes around. Just gives you a good sneak peek for some things. Just one quick thing, Wemby has become my favorite NBA player. Getting into it, he's my Star Wars man. Yes, Caleb, he justifies the fact that the sequels do not hold up, and I will die on that hill, and I'll contend with you on that all day.
We've already talked about this. We have to accept the sequels now because of Bad Batch. We already talked about this, Robert, and you agreed.
I agree that it's there and it's in my face. That doesn't mean I have to still accept it. It's just there, and it leads
he doesn't have to like it.
I don't.
I thought we accepted it, but we didn't have to like it. I thought that's where we were at after Bad Batch.
I still refuse to be like there because there's still another way. There's another option. I swear.
I mean, you're gonna have to rewrite Bad Batch then.
No. You can still tell Bad Batch. You can still tell Bad Batch. You just figure out a more, I don't know, intelligent way of saying, hey, Palpatine came back instead of, I don't know, he found a way to come back. Laziest story writing in history. Get out of here. But anyway, so that was cool to see that on some pop culture stuff, just kind of getting into NBA, reading about players. So that was exciting. But yeah, that's really all I got. So,
well, guys, you have my gratitude for having me on here. I appreciate it. And
thanks for hanging out, my man.
Oh, I'd be glad to hang it out again. Just send me an invite. I got no problem. You guys are a fun bunch, and it definitely warms up my evening every time. So yeah, just send me an invite whenever, and I'll be there.
All right, man. Well, we'll see how these NBA finals go. Again, get your shuttlecocks. Shuttlecocks are amazing. T-Wolves and Celtics are on a collision course. Let's see that happen. And that's all I got. I'm out.
Wolves in 6.
Don't worry, Pinky and I love each other. We're all good. Everybody can go to sleep happy. As always, we appreciate your support. Alex, it's great to put a face to the constant support and name and comments and everything else. Welcome back anytime, my guy.
Yep.
As always, look, guys, it means the world to us that anybody even actually cares what we say, even if you think everything we say is worthless and you don't agree with it. The fact that you're willing to listen and argue with us is what this is all about for us. We just love the conversation. So thank you. And again, as always, we'll never forget to say it. If you have those moments with your loved ones, family, friends, cherish them, your inner circle, bring them closer. Do not take those opportunities to be around them for granted. Appreciate all you guys as well. We're out. Till next week.
See ya.
Have a good night, guys.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out.